Hello guys, so welcome back to Tech and Talk. This is second episode of JavaScript series, and in first episode we have seen that how to write your code and run it in strict mode, and we just need to write that static string at the top of this file, or we can use that inside a function for the functional scope. So today we will just refactor a bit our previous code. So what I have done is on offline I have removed extra set of lines from that HTML page, and we only have a header section here which is saying Tech and Talk, and you can see it's shown here. So today we will see how we can access elements inside JavaScript, and how we can write a function to add two numbers and show results on click of a button. So let me start coding. So let me add a next session. After that first session section, and let me add div in the same way, and the class for div will be the container, right? And we will say this is a div with class row, and let's put justify content, right? And yeah, and here we will add an input element with the type of text, and let me give it an ID as well. I will add ID is equal to first number. So let me change this type to number, right? Because we will be adding two numbers, and let me just and I'm going to copy paste the same line here first, and let me update it to second number, right? And after that I will add a button, right? And I will name it add, and let's add an on click function here. And in JavaScript what we do, we used to link our function in events with this pattern. We need to write JavaScript colon and the name of our function in this way, right? So let me just refresh my page. You can see it's showing us two numbers, right? And as soon as I click on button, it's saying that sum is not defined, and I guess our method name was add. Let me refresh and click now. Okay, so it's giving no error this time, because we already have defined an add function previously, right? So what we will do is we will okay, the center part was missing. Now I think will be centered, right? And okay, so let's update our add function here, right? And why not just rename this class and give it the name of calculator JavaScript, right? So for that reason we will need to update our included class JS file name here as well. So I will just do Control S for save my changes, and I will refresh. It should work fine, right? So yeah, and next thing is how we can pass the values from these two fields to our function here. So there are a couple of ways, and first we will do the simplest way, right? We will update our function a bit, and why not just add another overload of this function, so that later on we will use the same function. So currently we will need to use add like this, and here we will access our HTML elements from within our scripts, and we will get their values, pass those values here, and we will return our results, and will update the results in our result area. So to show the results, why not let's add another container, right? Let me add these two divs, and let me add container explicitly here like this. Okay, all right. So, and here I will add a p tag with id is results, right? And another thing is we can use single quotation and double quotation as well. So whatever you use, just use consistently. So I have practiced to use double quotation marks. So throughout my script and HTML I will use double quotation for string manipulations, right? So here we are showing the result. The sum is, right, and let me just refresh this one, right? And ideally nothing will happen here, and to make this work we need to change our script a bit as well. So first thing, I was saying that we need to access our HTML elements here. So before writing code here, let us utilize our console area, and let's see how we can get maximum benefit from the browser's console area. So console area is very helpful for those who are front-end developers who write code for browser apps. So how you can get benefit from this console area, you just need to see and just start writing script here, right? So what we will do, as we are not using jQuery here, we need to access our variables through document dot the method for accessing element get started with get element, and you can see a lot of functions are available. Get elements by class name, by name, by tag name, by tag name ns. So there are a lot of options available. So as we are using id, so what we will do, get element by id, and we will use double quotations and first number, right? And we have missed R here, so you can see that it is giving us the element in result, and to get its value we need to call dot value, right? So you can see it has given us the its value. So what we can do is we need to add these lines here. Sorry, argument or get element by id, and we need to add first num, right? So, and let's save this its value. Sorry, I just forgot to get the value of that element, and I will save this in a var type of variable, and I will give it a name first digit, right? And we will copy paste same thing for our second digit. Right, so now we have both the values from both of these input fields, and what is missing is we have to pass these values into int, because currently these are in the form of string. You can see that here. So to convert its value, you can use let me demonstrate. You can use parse int, which is JavaScript method. You can convert a string into integer, and let us use parse int, and here we will give it first digit, and here we need to give it second digit, right? So let's update our result variable name, and now instead of returning the value, we will require to update the results in result area. So to access those result area, you can see we can access them results. I think it was result. Nope. Let me just have a look. So it was results, right? You can see we have now access that paragraph tag. So let's copy paste the same script here, and let me name it result element, because this is an element, and instead of returning this one, what we will do, we will update the results in result element. To result that thing, we can use result element dot inner text. We can use inner HTML as well, but the purpose of inner HTML is when you want to render the designed output. So currently we just need to render the string, so we can just use the inner text is equal to what was the initial string, that the sum is, and then we had a column, and we need to concatenate our result with it, right? Let's just control S, and before executing this function, why not let's see how we can use and this property of inner text. you can see we have accessed the inner text and we can change it. This is updated, right? You can see we have updated that one very easily. Here you can just see the results. So now we have updated method. We have already attached our function with on click event of this button, and now inside that function we are accessing the both of these elements and getting their values. So let's control as refresh the page and let us give their two numbers, and let me click the add. Oops, it's not working. So let's see why it is not working. We are saving, getting the values. So here the importance of debugger came. So we need to add debugger here, and let me control S and refresh the page, and nope, so it's not calling the add function here. Maybe it would be calling the add function here, the second add function. So let's see if it is calling or not. Yeah, so what is happening is if there are two functions with same method, the call is going on second method instead of the first function. So what we can do is we can just remove this one, and we just need to refresh, and let's see now where the call goes. Okay, so right, this time call goes to our required function. So let's jump into this function and go through the code step by step. And while going through this code, you can see the inside that scope and local area, you can see the results and the variable values are populating. In first digit we have 2, right? In second digit we have 3, right? And the result is now 5, all right? And we have set the result. All right, that's awesome, that's brilliant. So we have achieved our target. Now we are getting values from two inputs, the integer values, and we are setting the results as the sum of both of these input values, right? Yeah, that's awesome. So as we have seen how to add debugger to debug our code, so this is the one way. What I recommend is to not use that mode in your code, because in real production environment, in real development, developing your projects, you may forgot to remove that debugger, and that may cause issues to your clients. So instead of writing debugger in your code directly, let me show you how you guys can debug your code through that console area. So as in previous session we have seen that there are a couple of tabs here in developer tools. So one of the tab was the sources, and when you go to sources you can see the file hierarchy available here as same as given here in your IDE, right? So here you can see the source folder, and inside that you have seen the you have shown the your written functions. So instead of writing directly debugger here, you just need to attach your debugger just by clicking here in on the number right to your given line, right? So if as you know that there is no debugger here right now, and we have just marked our line inside the sources tab in our required script. So if now I will give it two numbers and add, you can see the control is stopped here, same as we write the debugger, and in the case of the debugger written inside the code. So I prefer this way instead of writing debugger in your code. So now you can go through the code in the same way, line by line, one by one here, right? And you can see the results and the variables are populating the same way as we done with debugger, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. So we have achieved that thing, and now we are able to access our elements. We can get their values, we can set other elements in our text very easily. So yeah, that's about today's session. So before going to the next session, let me give you the brief introduction about our next coming session. So that will be about the differences between const, var and let. So these are three kind of variables we are available. We can initialize a variable using a var a, right? Let b and const c, right? So these are the three kind of variables we can use, keywords we can use to create our variables, and all of these have different purposes. So in our next session we will explore all these three types in bit detail with the scenarios, so that because in future we will be writing a lot of code, so we should be clear about their purposes, so that instead of using var we should know should there be let or var or const, right? So that will be our next tutorial. So that's it. Hope you enjoy today's session, and in case of any questions or queries, do let me know. Add your question in comments, and if you haven't subscribed our channel, please subscribe so that you get updates right on the way. So happy coding, and bye bye.